Alright, before we dive into today's discussion, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Let's dive in. Today we're taking a close look at a company that's making an absolutely massive bet in the crypto space. We're talking about BitMine Immersion, ticker BMNR. They are going along on a super aggressive strategy. And honestly, it could be genius or it could go down in flames. So, let's break it all down. So, here's the big question right off the bat. BMNR stock has been getting hammered lately and it's falling right in line with the rest of the crypto market, and that puts us at a crossroads. Is this a huge red flag telling us to run for the hills, or could this actually be the golden opportunity that savvy investors have been waiting for? You know, to really get what's going on with BMNR, you can't just look at the company in a vacuum. You've got to zoom out. Right now, the stock is basically caught in this downdraft that's pulling the entire crypto market down with it. Its fate for now is completely tied to the bigger picture. And it's pretty wild how everything is connected. You've got Bitcoin, the big one, struggling to hold above its 200-day moving average. That's a huge technical level that traders watch. And falling below it, well, it's not a great sign for the bulls. Then there's Ethereum, which really needs to get back above that $4,100 mark to look healthy again. But the main takeaway from the analysis is this. Crypto is acting like a classic risk-on asset. That means when the stock market gets nervous and investors get scared, crypto is one of the first things to get sold off. And of course, a stock like BMNR feels that pain directly. Okay, but here's where it gets really, really interesting. Despite all this doom and gloom in the market, BMNR is out there making some incredibly bold moves. And that brings us to the core of their entire plan, what some are calling the Ethereum MicroStrategy thesis. It's a playbook that's already been proven in the crypto world. So to get BMNR, you first have to get MicroStrategy. This is the company run by Michael Saylor that shocked the world when it decided to start converting its cash reserves into Bitcoin. I mean, they bought a ton of it. By doing that, their stock MSTR basically became a proxy for Bitcoin itself. If you wanted to bet on Bitcoin without actually buying Bitcoin, you could just buy their stock. And this lays out BMNR's entire game plan perfectly. It is so simple and so direct. They are trying to do for Ethereum exactly what MicroStrategy did for Bitcoin. The strategy is the same. Use the company's balance sheet to just buy and hold a massive amount of crypto. The goal is the same. Become the #1 go-to stock for any investor who wants exposure to Ethereum. It's that straightforward. And look, BMNR isn't just talking the talk here. They are walking the walk with an unbelievable level of aggression. So, while the rest of the market is weak and maybe a little scared, BMNR sees this as the perfect time to go on a shopping spree. And their ambition is just staggering. The company has publicly said that its goal is to buy and hold 5% of the entire supply of Ethereum. Just let that sink in for a second. 5% of all ETH in existence. That is an absolutely colossal goal, and it signals a huge long-term conviction in this one asset. So, are they getting there? Well, based on the latest analysis, they're already sitting on about 3% of the total supply. So, yeah, they are well on their way to hitting that insane 5% target. They're closing that gap fast and really cementing themselves as a major player in the ETH ecosystem. And to put this into dollars and cents, the value of their Ethereum holdings has already blown past $14 billion. Let me repeat that. $14 billion. This is not some small company just dipping its toes in crypto. This is a heavyweight making a giant bet and building a treasury that's one of the biggest in the world. And they just keep buying. According to the source, over one single recent weekend, the company snapped up 27,000 Ethereum. This just proves they are actively aggressively using these market dips to load up their bags. Buying when almost everyone else is selling. All of this relentless buying leads to one crucial takeaway. As of right now, BitMine Immersion is the single largest corporate holder of Ethereum on the entire planet. When you look at all corporate crypto holdings, they are now number 2, second only to MicroStrategy itself. So what does this all mean? What's the real consequence of this strategy? Well, by pouring their entire treasury into one asset, they have quite literally tied the fate of their company to the future of Ethereum. It really boils down to this. The investment thesis couldn't be simpler. BMNR stock will go up if and only if the price of Ethereum goes up. So, if you're a long-term believer in ETH, if you think its price is headed for the moon eventually, then BMR is basically a leveraged way to make that bet. Their destinies are completely linked. Okay. So, how might someone actually trade this? Well, the analysis we're pulling from lays out 2 different ways to think about it. Right now, during a downturn, the idea is to accumulate shares of the actual stock, buying into that long-term vision at a discount. But if the stock starts to show signs of life and breaks out, let's say above that $62 to $64 resistance level, that's when you might consider using a different tool like options to try and capture that upward momentum with a bit more leverage. But let's be crystal clear about something. Just like the source material is, this is not a safe bet. This quote right here just nails it. Anything in crypto is risky. Period. An investment in BMNR is incredibly high risk. But on the flip side of that risk is the potential for a very, very high reward. You have to be willing to stomach the volatility. Alright. Now, we're going to pivot to something a bit different. It's a fascinating, but I have to stress highly speculative angle that was brought up in the analysis. This is not your typical financial metric. This is more of a potential X factor to consider. So, the core idea presented in the analysis goes something like this. When powerful and influential people like major political figures have a lot of their own money in a specific asset, well, they have a pretty strong vested interest in making sure that asset does well, they have skin in the game. Now, the source material points to a few things to back up the speculative idea. There are reports about the Trump family's links to crypto and alleged huge purchase of 86,000 ETH by a firm with his name on it, and even reports that the former president has his own private Ethereum stash. The analysis also observes a pattern where things connected to him have tended to perform really well. Now again I have to repeat, this is all presented as a purely speculative idea from the source and interesting observation, not as fundamental investment advice. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground here, from the nitty-gritty market technicals to the grand corporate strategy and even that wild political angle. So let's just take a breath and boil it all down to the most important takeaways. This table really sums it all up nicely. The thesis, be the MicroStrategy for Ethereum. The strategy, buy ETH like there's no tomorrow, especially when the price is down. The dependency, it is all about the price of Ethereum. Their success is completely tied to it. The risk, it's off the charts, super high. And finally, the wild card, that speculative political angle we talked about, which is a total unknown, but could be a potential catalyst. And that leaves us with this one big final question. Is BMNR a visionary company playing 4D chess and securing a huge slice of a key asset for our digital future? Or are they just making a reckless all-or-nothing bet in a market that's famous for its volatility? I think the answer to that question probably depends on what you believe about the future of Ethereum itself. And that is definitely something to think about. And that's our breakdown of BitMine Immersion's huge bet on Ethereum. Hopefully this gave you a really clear picture of what they're doing and why. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.